Hello friends, I'm Jesse from Shrink RC. I've got an Axial Pro chassis here and I mounted a Mojave 4-door onto it. I wanted to show it to you guys. This is the Axial Pro, released a few months ago, and then everybody bought them up real quick and none were available, and now they're out again. And I thought it was time to post up, show you what we've got going for it. I built the chassis just the way it comes. It's totally stock, except I did change out the springs for some Losi Mini T springs. These are the fronts, the orange fronts, so they're 2-pound springs. And I don't know if I'll leave that or not after driving it a bit. I might put the front springs back to stock and leave the orange ones in the back for a little bit more stiffness in the back. That's the way I like my truck set up. So, but I might go back to a stock spring up front. I'll drive it a little bit more and decide. The Axial Pro comes with these high clearance links in the back. It's a flat rail chassis. It's not an adjustable length chassis. This chassis is really set up to be 12.3-ish, actually a little bit longer. And it's not an easy chassis to shorten down to 11.4. And I'm bringing that up because people are going to ask, well, are you going to make body mounts for this for all the other bodies? And the answer is mostly no. And that's because, again, this transmission, it's that 2-speed transmission they've got in there, and I'll take the body off and show it to you. But the 2-speed transmission that's in there, it doesn't want to be shortened very much. It's already got the shortest possible length, little stumpy drive shaft in the rear. And I think if I offer body mounts for the shorter bodies for these, people are going to be mad. So I'm really not going to offer them. Mojave 2-door, we'll call that a secret menu item. If you contact me, send me an email, we could talk about the Mojave 2-door, and if you really want a set of body mounts for it, I'll sell them to you. But you cannot really easily shorten this chassis to fit that body. And so I just know how people are. They don't read the ads, and they don't read the descriptions, and I'll get a whole lot of returns and a whole lot of mad people. So that's going to be, we could call it a secret menu item if you want the Mojave 2-door. We're also going to offer Mojave 4-door. That's it. It's really not a chassis that's set up for like a Blazer or a 4Runner. And for now, it's going to be Mojave 4-door on the website, Mojave 2-door if you write to me, because it's that tricky with the Mojave 2-door. With the Mojave 4-door, there's not much to it. I made it so that the interior actually fits with no mods to the interior at all. All you're going to have to do is cut a couple slots in the bed to clear the frame rails and shocks that are back there. And I'll show you how I did that. I'll take the body off and show you that too. In fact, I wonder if I can get this. Okay, see what I did? It's all hollowed out like that. And there's the chassis under there. That's my dog Steve you hear in the background if you can hear him. And that's my dog Phil if you heard that. So here's the slot that I cut for the bed back there, and then the ice chest is cut like this too. Goes up in there like that, and now it looks like a untouched body. We also sell these bed mats. This one's been cut down because this is a bobbed bed. So that bed got bobbed a while back, and it used to be on my Traxxas TRX4, and on that one the chassis kind of came through here a little bit because the bed is bobbed so short. That's not an issue if you don't mess with the bed, but on a really short bed, I had cut through there and kind of, you see that? And so on this chassis, I didn't need that big hole there, so I made this little plate to cover that up, make it look a little bit better. I actually wound up lengthening the rear of this chassis a tiny bit. I do that on almost all the 4-doors and extra cabs when they're linked, because usually they're just a little bit too short. We make them to where the front line's up here and the front line's up here. Now this chassis is a little bit different. I already mentioned that this one's slightly longer than 12.3, so you're going, well, okay, why is it an issue on this one? And that's because my thought is this is really meant to be a Class 2 chassis. That means it's really meant to run these big 4.75 tires. That means you've got to cut this body all the way back to there to get this tire to fit without rubbing. And what that means is I needed to scoot the body back just a little bit. I didn't actually center the front wheel on this one the way I do on all of our other kits. And so on this one, I made it purposely stick the front axle just a little bit more forward because this is that longer chassis, and with the great big tires, it stuffs up into here so far that if you cut any more of this out, you cut that screw hole out and you don't even have a way to mount the body anymore. So I didn't follow sort of my normal formula on all the other chassis. Usually we line up the front wheel well exactly and all you do is adjust the rear. This one, there's nothing to adjust in the front unless you want to, but I designed it to where it's a little bit forward in the front. And that means I still needed to go in and put some longer Traxxas long rod ends on this end, like I do on all the other trucks. Couple little goodies back there to hide the things. That's Al Bundy. You guys know Al Bundy. This rig was so hard that he grew a goatee when I put it under this chassis. What else did I want to show you? Oh, this front bumper. I had this front bumper made by, I've already been smashing on it, as you can see. And it's my design to do the one line there, and I probably should have asked him to put something like that, but this was designed exactly the way I wanted it, and I'm really grateful that it came out as cool as it did. And this was done by JR Fabworks. He's on Instagram. And the two lights I found on Amazon. This is a little sort of bumper frame mount I printed up myself, designed and printed myself, so I could put this fair lead on here and these lights. You see that fair lead got a little bit smashed up in there too, but it's okay, that's going for authenticity. So it's an authentically smashed fair lead. These new shocks on the new Pro, they're like butter. They're really, really fantastic. I don't like the way they look because they don't look super scale, but they're just butter, so I can't be mad. Tires are the TSL Super Swamper 4.75s. These are the Method incision wheels. You know, Methods are made by Vanquish. There was one thing about these I was mad about, and one thing about these I was really stoked on. I was mad because they don't fit the SLW hubs, all the Vanquish hubs that are adjustable width and stuff. They don't fit on these. You got to do something else. So that was kind of annoying because I had some other hubs that I wanted to use, and I bought some other hubs thinking, oh, I want them a little bit more. Neither one of them will work because these don't work with the Vanquish hubs. So, but what I did like about them is they're super, super easy to install. And if you've had a hard time installing wheels and tires, you know what that means. I was trying to put these tires on, I think it was those wheels back for something. Maybe I was going to put those wheels on this one, in fact. And I couldn't mount them. I just couldn't. It was that hard. I got so frustrated and mad. So I wound up ordering those wheels, and they mounted so easily. So they get full credit for easy mountability. They get D- for not fitting the spacers from the Vanquish. But I would totally buy other incision wheels again too. These are our first mounts that work with rock sliders. Usually our mounts, if you want to put rock sliders on them, you can go in and drill a little hole with like a 3/32 drill bit, and then you can just tap that directly with an M3 screw, and you can put sliders on, you know, a lot of our different mounts just by doing that. But on these ones, I went ahead and provided 2 holes already in the mount, so that if you want to get some SCX10 style, you know, this is also SSD Trail King style. It's also I can't remember if it's 10.3 as well. I think the 10.3s use the same setup. So, but 10.2 slider will work on there. Is it time to take this body off? Let's take this body off. Show you what I did inside. I mentioned that I didn't do anything to the interior. And that's kind of cool. Usually on our kits, you got to do something to the interior, but the Mojave 4-door is the most forgiving of all the bodies, I'd say, for hard body builds, because it's nice and long in the cab area, so it covers all the stuff. And the other thing about the Mojave 4-door is it has a pretty high floor. The floor is like, you know, kind of stupid high. It's way up here, and that's kind of nice because it just gives you tons of room for electronics and everything. So this is the most forgiving body, in my opinion. And it also fits a 12.3 chassis, which if you're doing one of the shorter bodies, you've got to shorten the chassis, and usually, and not everybody wants to do that. Everybody always asks about this screwdriver. It's a Bresson. I got it on Amazon. I wish I had an affiliate link or something to it, but I don't. Go on Amazon, look up 4-volt screwdrivers. It's a Bresson. I do have affiliate links for A-Main Hobbies. I shop there. I trust them. Good prices. They have all this stuff for sale, and there's links. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to. Here's what this looks like underneath. Here's the slots I made. This got cut out. I cut these out before for, this body has been like kind of hoarding around on a bunch of different chassis, but so this has been cut and cut and cut, and so that's why I took one of our bed mats and put it in there, and that's kind of why I made those and offered them up, is so that sometimes you don't get the cleanest cut on here. Sometimes you're switching it from one body to another. I switch bodies and chassis around all the time. I have friends who, the first time they see my collection, they're really shocked because I only keep 12 trucks around or something like that. And you know, they think I'm going to have like 50 trucks, and you know, some people want to do that. It's not really economically feasible for me. So what I do is when a chassis goes out of production, or if it turns out that it's not that popular of a chassis, I'll sell that chassis and then I'll put that truck on a different body, and I just kind of keep doing musical bodies and trucks like that. And sometimes they find a home that they stay on permanently, and sometimes not. That, you know, this Blazer was on a Axial SCX10 too, up until for a few years, and I decided I wanted to see it on that. This is the Rust Bucket Edition chassis, so it's got the K44 axles on it, but that's a factory TF2. But I changed out the body, put my orange and white one on there, and it already had those wheels and tires even, but I just think this is a dope look. So I did that because I think 10.2s are going away, unfortunately. I really love them, but I think they're going away, and I'm going to take my old 10.2 and I'm going to build up that G-Speed chassis. So that's a little teaser for those who are still watching. What do we want to show you inside? This NSD RC is who provided the servos, the steering servos, and the shift servo, and the winch for this truck, and I'm so happy with the product. I wrote back and forth a couple times, and because I'm not really good at setting up transmitters, and so I didn't even know. I literally did not know if I could do it with my Futaba, because I tried hooking up my Futaba to a winch before, and a friend helped me with it, and it was chaos. It didn't work out at all. And I had another friend tell me that I needed to switch to a Spectrum remote, and that was the only way you could do it. Well, these guys actually helped set me straight. My Futaba works beautifully with the winch now, and it's really awesome. It's the little I think D3 button on the side, and you can just push it forward and winch goes out, pull it in, winch comes in. I wanted to purposely try the micro winch on here. This is their 100, and I wanted to see what it could do. I actually haven't had a chance to mess with it specifically. I have had the truck out a few times and played with it, but I haven't really had a chance to test this winch out so I can brag about it. I plan to, but I can brag about the servo. It's their RS800 servo, and it's a beast. I've watched it just easily, elegantly kind of move the truck around when the tire gets stuck. It's butter, it's quiet. Real happy with that. Also the shift servo. On this tip, for me, setting up the shift servo, the easiest way to do that wound up being taking the transmission out, so I could look at it from below and I could actually see the dogs or whatever they're called on there, and I did it that way. I think maybe that's why they designed it that way, where you can see below, because otherwise, if you don't have that thing set right, you're gonna smash it and break the C clips off, and all kinds of things that go wrong. So I won't tell you how I know that, but it turns out the best way to adjust it is take out the transmission, look at it, and you can actually see the little shift poles or dogs or whatever they're called in there, and just set those endpoints. It's really a barely amount. It's just a little bit in each direction on that one. It's a real short throw that you need to set it at. You know, I suggest even don't connect it at first. Just put the arm on it so you can sort of watch what the arm's doing, and then after you've got it where it's moving just a little bit, and then connect that. Don't just turn it on, boom, blam. You might blow a C clip out. I read about a guy that happened to. So, what else? Battery strap is included on the side plate of our body mount here. That's the cab mount portion. There's the bed mount. And that's unusual for us, but after I actually didn't do that at first, and I had them up on the store, and And because I had the truck mostly put together. I thought, okay, it's good enough. And then I went to put the battery, and I didn't have anywhere to put it. So there's now battery straps included on the mount. Using a little cheapy Futaba receiver to go with my Futaba transmitter. This is my first time using the Fusion 2300 from Hobbywing. As far as I'm concerned, I'm only using their Fusion motors from now on. It's so nice. I'm going to try the budget one on the next one. This is the Pro Fusion 2300. I think I'll pop the budget one into that build. I'm trying to do that build as sort of a budget build, parts that I had sitting around. I mostly just got a new frame and a servo mount, and I'm going to try to put a lot of stuff I have already in there. I might need to get steering servo for that one. So this build, there's not a lot else to it other than this is the new Pro. It does crawl really well, really happy with it. It's quiet, smooth. I have used the underdrive. You can't use the underdrive in competition, so part of me wishes they had not done this underdrive transmission, because you can't use it in competition, and it takes up so much room back here. This length back here kind of ruins Christmas if you want to shorten the rear end and use it with one of the shorter chassis. So this is only going to be offered for the Mojave 4-door. If you want to do a Mojave 2-door, what you could do with a Mojave 2-door is do like a truggy style, or you could, I had a truck where, and people have seen this, where I cut out a section of the rear fender and I actually moved it back an inch so that it made the 2-door truck look like a bobbed, longer wheelbase version of the same thing. But you have to contact me if you want the 2-door mounts. I'm not putting them up on the site because I don't want the headache, because that's what it'll be. Now, what else? This is the truck, guys. Oh, you know, I'll tell you something too about my friends at NSDRC. I'm so happy because I have avoided doing direct power servos until now because I hate wiring. I'm really intimidated by wiring. I don't like doing wiring, and I don't like electronics. That's really ironic since in my day job I actually work in the electronics industry, but that's another story. But I was intimidated by the idea of how do I get everything, you know, hooked up to the power to this? Do I need to run 2 batteries? Do I need to split it somehow? And it's so simple that they sell this on their website. It's just a little inline, and I think they have them with different connectors too. But it's just an inline with a Deans on it. You take one that goes out here to the servo. There's like a little one of these, what are those called, JSTs? A little JST that kind of goes in, and now my battery just goes into there. I didn't actually have to do any soldering. And anytime I don't have to solder is better for fire safety, for the world. It's really better for everybody when I don't need to solder, and it's better for my voice from yelling and screaming. Less things get broken. It's really good when I don't solder. There's the truck, guys. I put some 2-stage CI foams in here. I might have gone a little too heavy, I don't know, but I can't stand it when the tires get all wrapped up and twisted up. So these are, I think they were the mediums. I might have started off with heavies and then gone to mediums now that I think about it. And there's still tuning to be done on that for sure. I might add some brass to it. The body's so heavy that, of course, you know, you're getting a lot of weight here. The interior, believe it or not, now that this body's been cut so much and there's no grill on it and stuff, I'm pretty sure the interior with Al weighs more than the body does. So that's kind of ironic. This is My Build Projects makes these antennas. I got those from his Etsy store, if I recall. And that's been on that truck for a while. I love having that antenna on there. Like I told you guys about the front bumper. JR Fabworks, he killed it on that. NSDRC, all these beautiful electronics. Hobbywing motor in there.